What's up, everybody? I'm Dave Miranda, and this is episode 114 of Just Give Me 5. I hope you guys are doing great. Continue to be amazing. We got an awesome show lined up for you today. But first, I need you to hit that like button. I need you to hit that subscribe, and I need you to spread the word about Just Give Me 5. All right. Now, if you guys caught episode 113, you saw we had none other than the legendary Tracy Lee on the show. And let me tell you, boy, that was a treat, man, because you know, I personally feel like Tracy is just such an underrated MC. His Many Faces album was extremely underrated. And, you know, I was so glad I was able to catch up with him Super Bowl weekend out here. I had a really good time. We were so honored to have him on the show. And, you know, I mean, just the stories, man, you know, especially the way he broke it down when working with Biggie, because, you know, that was when he really realized that Biggie didn't write. And for him to, you know, tell him that, you know, it confused him. You know, and it made perfect sense because, like you said, if I'm committed to memory, you know, and I'm not reading off something, then I can give you all of me, man, the inflections, you know what I'm saying, and just give it all, man. I thought that was just so dope, you know, and I didn't realize that Biggie had been in that accident when he recorded with him. So, you know, that just adds to it as well, you know. Just amazing stuff, man, and we were just so happy to have him on the show. Real good guy. And, you know, I mean, make sure you guys watch episode 113. All right. But today's guest is a pioneer in the Arizona hip hop scene and one of the greatest producers to ever do it. We're going to talk about why he became a producer, as well as a radio station that he had back in the day. We're going to talk about the creation of Mindspit Records, some memorable moments, as well as the Beatcast that he's a part of now, and so much more. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you RTC Shogun.
Yo, this is RTC Shogun, producer extraordinaire. All I'm saying is, just give me 5. So my inspirations for becoming a producer is, the big one is honestly Timbaland, which may surprise some people because you don't hear that in my sound at all and what I do, but it was more about what he was doing with samples, the atmosphere he was doing, and it took hip-hop to a different level, the way he mixed things. And that's when I first started producing, that's who I was listening to. And then I started getting into more of the boom bap guys, like of course Jay Dilla, Premier, Pete Rock, and all those guys. And that's really, I think, where my sound started coming into play, and I started getting my sound going was when I got heavy into those guys and learning more about what they were doing and how they were doing it, the machines they were using. So when I got into Dilla, when I first heard Dilla, I was working at KFNX. We had our radio show Under the Influence, and we would get promo records. Yeah. And I got the one for Fantastic Volume 2. Nice. And I put that on, and I was blown away. And I was like, I would just listen to that thing over and over and over. And so when I realized, I was like, okay, this is JD. I was like, no wonder I like Beats, Rhymes, and Life from Tribe so much. That was my favorite album. It was like, that's the same dude.
Yeah, man.
And from then it became this rabbit hole of, okay, what else is he working on? And realize how many different artists he touched and how much he worked on. And I'm glad that I had that, you know, the introduction to him from the beginning. And then as he grew, obviously his sound completely changed. I mean, he still had that Jay Dilla feel, but it changed from his later stuff that he had going on. But it's that, yeah, that early stuff was just like, whoa, I would put everything. I would be on LimeWire looking up everything, Dilla, Slum Village, whatever it was, just put it on the headphones and just vibe out to that. And
it was the drums.
It was. And
I remember Questlove saying he had never in his life heard a producer construct drums the way he did to make them sound like they were actual, and you know, like it
was a drummer. Yeah. And it's because that was before, you know, we had YouTube and everyone knowing about it. So it was like, I couldn't figure that out. I was on the MPC as well, and it's like I couldn't do it. It's like I was trying to use some of the same samples, the same drums, and pitching them, but it's like no one can get that feel. It's like, what the hell was I doing trying to do that? And no one now can get that. It's all Dilla. You can't.
Right.
When I first started doing beats, it's funny. We had our crew back in high school, you know, just us messing around, just friends. And I started out, it was we didn't even have this yet. I had an Alesis keyboard and we had a 4-track cassette recorder.
Okay.
And so we didn't have a sequencer. So it was like we had to use 2 tracks on the 4-track to play out the beat. So I would sit there with the hi-hat, kick, and snare for 4 minutes,
Right.
and then you had another track to do a melody line, and then play that for 4 minutes, and hopefully it's on time, it doesn't mess up. Then we had 2 more tracks for vocals and overdubs, and that's how we were doing it. So I came a long way from doing that, and then discovering MIDI, and then getting a sequencer. We had this little Boss Roland DR202. It was a black machine with the orange lettering on it. It was like the Beat Machine version of the 202, the first 202. They were like, you know, supposed to be paired together, but this had all sorts of drums. It had different MIDI channels, a sequence, and man, we ended up buying 2 of those machines because me and another guy, Aphex, in the crew, like we just mastered that thing. That's what we made our beats on.
Nice.
That's how we started with the beats, and then I kind of figured out, I was like, okay, let me start sampling, see what I could do with sampling.
Right.
And that's when I integrated the computer, what I had going on in the computer, and then move on to the MPC, end up getting MPC and working on that.
Nice, man. And then you mentioned Under the Influence radio, of course. Now, you had the radio prior to you getting into production?
No, so we started doing beats. This was like junior, senior year in high school is when we started doing the music thing. And after I graduated high school, like I knew I wasn't going to college. That's not what I wanted to do.
Okay, yeah.
I got in the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences straight out of high school to learn audio engineering. Mm-hmm. And then so when I graduated there, it's like you could try to intern at one of these big studios or something like that. Yeah. I went to a smaller local studio, Zaya Studios, and I was able to actually get in on sessions and work on things, which was nice. But of course it wasn't paying, so I had to get a job. And the only thing, unless you want to move out of state, there's not really anything happening in AZ for studios. I mean, there was a salt mine and, you know, maybe a couple other studios, you know, Porcupine, stuff like that. So I was like, okay, there's this little rinky-dink AM radio station looking for engineers. Of like, I know absolutely nothing about this. But let me just put in my interview, I need to get paid. For sure. So I ended up getting the job and being engineer at this radio station, KFNX, doing board hopping. So basically it was a talk radio station during the day. Yeah. And so you'd have people with their talk shows and you just turn levels on and off, run commercials, that sort of thing. Right. So that's how I got in over there and got into radio. Never thought I would be doing radio, but it was paying the bills. I was good at it. It was fun. I wasn't, you know, flipping burgers. So and being able to get in there at such a young age was pretty cool, you know. Learning there's a lot of older people there and learning a lot from them. So what the radio station would do is they would, after 10 o'clock, they would basically stop all their talk radio, and then they would give the engineers their own time after 10 o'clock to do whatever kind of show they want. So it was mostly everyone, all of us, we had our music shows. There's like 8 of us engineers, and we had our shows. We would get an hour here and there to do shows after hours. And so I started doing a hip hop show, just playing music. I would bring on my friends, just bullshitting. And then Jason, who was going by Jizz Hornet at the time, I got him a job there as an engineer. And so we kind of combined our hours that we were given to start the Under the Influence radio show. Right. He was a radio guy, though. That's what he wanted to do. So he turned Under the Influence into what it ended up becoming. And I was just lucky to be part of the ride with that. But man, what it turned into was nothing we expected. I mean, we went from having an hour on a Wednesday night to, you know, be on for 4 hours on a Friday night, 4 hours on a Saturday night. Right. It would be a party. I mean, you'd been there. You probably saw out in the lobby. It was different. Like you couldn't do that at Power, you know. No. It's like MCs just couldn't come up there and smoke blunt streak 40s in the lobby, and that's what was going on. And it was just a cool vibe. I mean, talk to a lot of the veterans out here, and they say, yeah, they've been in there, done the Freestyle Fridays, done their thing, hung out there, and we would end up having barbecues in the front, you know, and, you know, of course, in the hip hop scene, that would lead to some, you know, messed up stuff going on too, as far as a lot of fights and everything.
Yeah, man.
It's surprising we never got shut down, but, you know, we kept it going for like 3 years doing that, and it was a lot of fun. So Mindspit Records, it's something I had used since those early days of starting with just my friends. We were the Mindspit, records, Mindspit Productions. That's what we were doing, and like we were having fun with it. And I wanted to get more serious, and that's when I had my opportunity actually working at KFNX. I was working late night. It's on 3rd Street and Olive. You don't get anyone coming up there except for bums. Someone's, someone's ringing the little thing. I see on the camera some dude looking at the door. I was like, what the hell is this? I go out there, and that's why I met Knock, None of a Kind. And he was dropping off his demo to get played, and I ended up talking to him, and I was like, yeah, I'm actually a beat maker too. And we sat in my car for like 2 hours just listening to my beats in the parking lot. And so I started working with him, and that was, it was refreshing hearing someone having that East Coast sound, which we didn't have out here. I mean, you got to think, we were known for, Nasty Boy Click, nothing wrong with those guys. It was a West Coast sound. That's what we were emulating. And shout out to all of them, all those before us doing that. But there was a lot of here that were fans of that East Coast music, that more boom bap sample based music, and he was doing that. I didn't know anyone out here was doing that. And so I linked up with him, and we started working together. He was managed by Ray Diggs, drunk ass Ray Diggs we used to call him. And he was managed by him, and we ended up kind of combining our forces, and me and Diggs became good friends. We're like, why don't we just make a label out of this? And then we went with the Mindspit name. That's when we started bringing on the different Mindspit artists and taking things really seriously. And it just kind of worked. It's like I had the studio, I had the beats. Diggs was already a promoter he was working for Ty Michael Carter, doing promotions. He was promoting for other hip hop labels, doing stuff out here. So he had that grind, and that I needed I could focus on the music, and he took care of a lot of the business stuff. So then from there is when we got this huge stable of artists working with us. And the next person I met up with on the crew was Mike Devious. And I met Devious, man, love Devious. I met him over at Fable's radio show at ASU.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he would have his, I forget what the name of his show.
I'm trying to think of it as well. It'll come to me.
Yeah, but he had his show, and I went down there just because it was very rare back then to have camaraderie. We were all competing against each other, but it was like, let's just reach out. We wanted to reach out to him with the radio shows, see what we could do. And Mike Davis was out there doing an interview and played me his music. I was like, this is another dude who was like doing what I want to do as far as music. I was like, hey, here's some beats. Let's work together. And then through that, he met Knock, and we all started working together. And then how Knock and Devious, this was like, you didn't see Knock without Devious. It was a pair doing shows together. And that was the core of Mindspit at first, was me, Knock, Mike Devious, and Diggs, managing us, doing all the back end stuff. And we brought on more artists after that. Audio Oddwell came from the Wholesome crew with an album. We had Glad to Meet Ya, who I had met from the radio. Like, I meet everyone at the radio station.
Right.
Glad to Meet Ya came on board with his partner Flip, and they had Quantum Theory. We put out that album. We had Philharmonic, who we knew from the radio station. He submitted a demo. And we had Raymond Red was with us for a while. We had Living Proof. God, Blaze Rock was with us for a while.
Fact?
Oh yeah, Fact 135. He was our DJ, and that was our crazy crew, man. Just going out doing shows. Like, we were literally out every night. If we weren't doing a show, we were at shows, handing out flyers, just making our presence known. It's, as you know, it's not like it was now. There was no internet, no way to promote yourself. There was one place, and we can talk about that. The 602 Streets, but that was the one spot online that we can all go and promote. But like, other than that, you were just hitting the streets, and it's weird that now it's probably not like that anymore. I feel like hip hop is probably missing that, where there's not, these artists now aren't hitting the pavement and handing out flyers and stuff.
No, not at all.
But so yeah, we did tours, we did tons of shows with tons of big artists, and you know, like I said, we had Diggs handling a lot of that business stuff, getting us shows, you know, because he worked with Ty, we were able to get on a lot of his shows, and he connected with a lot of artists that were coming through, and we were able to jump onto their shows to open up. And, you know, he even got us on the Warped Tour. We did with Audio Oddwell, we did a few dates on the Warped Tour, and that was, man, that to be able to say that, yeah, I was on the Warped Tour for a while, that's like my claim to fame, you know. That's cool. So it was a fun time, man. That was a lot of fun, lots of hard work. Yeah, there was just so much going on. I can't believe we survived that period of time. That was like 10 years of just grinding hard. And you know, the one big thing I remember that happened to us where it was like, wow, man, this is amazing. I can't believe we're doing this. We got to Knock and Mike Davis, and we got to open up for Nas. He was out here at the Marquee Theater, and that was like our first big name show. And it was like, man, that's the dude, you know. It's Nasty Nas, man. It's like, and he's right there rocking the same stage that we're on. We're, you know, in backstage with him. We're on the side of the stage watching him perform, man. It was amazing. Like, it was cool, like, because he was going out with Khalees at the time. So I'm standing there, I look to my left, and there's Khalees. I'm like, oh. And man, she is beautiful woman in person. So that was like, and the crowd was feeling it. It wasn't just like, you know, okay, we're just this opening act, no one's paying attention. It's like the crowd was into it too. It's like they were loving us, and that was like, okay, we're doing something right. People like what we're doing. And from then on, it was just like that just lit something even more in us, and we just kept going, kept hitting those shows, kept getting music out there, kept grinding. So a big thing, like after the Mindspit and all that, kind of, we were kind of done with that. You know, a lot of us went our separate ways, and I actually started just getting heavier into just beat making. At that time, it's like I was burnt out, didn't really want to work with MCs. There was a few, like I was still working a little bit with Blaze Rock, still throwing some stuff to Devious and all that, but we had all kind of done our separate thing. So about that time is when all these showcases, beat showcases, started popping up, and that's when I started just jumping on those. It's like, I got a library of beats, let's just play them. Like, you know, I DJ'd for a while, so I didn't mind being in front of people and being on stage. So I was like, and I ended up being like winning some of them and being good at it. And I was like, okay, this is cool. It's just me, you know, like I hate to be selfish, but it was like for the first time in music, this was just about me playing my beats and doing it for myself. And so every beat battle, every showcase that popped up, I was jumping on and doing, and I ended up getting on the Red Bull Big Tune Beat Battle out here. That was, so Jake won, and Vitamin D were putting that on and doing that. Correct. And they had talked about it because Shaw Money had his one-stop shop producers conference out here with, which is another big amazing thing. You know, Pete Rock was out here, Primo was out here, you know. That was a really cool moment back then. And so that's when they announced that, you know, that there was going to be an Arizona leg. And so I ended up getting picked to be on that. Made it to the second round, which been cool to win it, but you know, like that was a cool stage to be on. You know, it's like I was with these heavy hitters, you know, playing my beats, and I made it to the second round. I didn't lose out in the first round, so I wasn't the first loser, so I'm good. You know? Right. Yeah. So that really was my thing for a while, just doing all the beat battles and all that. And I think that's where I was happiest putting my focus in, was just doing beats. So the main thing I learned about doing all those beat battles was that you have to really focus on different things. Like it's a different element when you're doing beats for MCs than doing beats for a battle and trying to win something. It's like you learn all those little intricacies that are going to stand out to a crowd, because there's not an MC to focus on. It's like, it's the music. They need to find something to focus on there. So that's why I started like, okay, putting little sound effects, putting little vocal drops on her and doing that. And as far as like just personally, it just made me seem like, okay, I am a one-man show. I can do something in music on my own. Not that having a crew or anything like that is bad, but it's like,
yeah, it's good to know for yourself.
Yeah, it's good to know that, okay, I am good enough with this where I can put out my music and be proud of it and not be afraid to put it out there.
Right.
So when Mindspit was done, that was about the time I moved to San Diego for work. I was working for Voice America. They sent me out there to, we had bought out one of our competitors, and they sent me out there just to kind of combine the two companies. And so that was kind of a little break for me, a 2-year period where I was out there. But the whole time, Cisco, Lost Perception from the council, he was hitting me up. He's like, hey, he was doing albums for Rock Knowledge. He was doing stuff for Blaze Rock, and he was doing a lot out here. And he's like, man, should give us some stuff. He always kept hounding me. I was like, no, like if you ask him, I was like, no, I'm over it. Like at that point, I was burnt out from Mindspit. I'm like, I'm just doing this for fun. You know, I'm out here taking a break. I was working, still doing beats, just, you know, to have fun with it. And finally, he's like, hey, you know, let's. I was like, okay, cool. All right, I got beats. I'll just give you beats. Let's see where this goes. Yeah. And so the people he was rocking with, you know, as far as beat wise, it's like Rock, Blaze Rock. He just Trife at the time, Mega Ran, Random. Like they were, yeah, Ocean, all of them. It's like they were working, they were doing stuff. I was like, okay, this is a cool crew to link up with the council, and, you know, Flip, and then we brought on Deuce Wild, and I ended up moving back, and so we got a studio together that we called the Boardroom. The first one was just these practice studios over on Van Buren and like 12th Street, ghetto ass spot, but it was a lot of fun, you know. Right. And then we ended up moving it to Tempe off of Kyrene, and no, it was off. Yeah, Kyrene and Baseline, and we all had our studio there. We'd link up, work on music, and that's about the time that like they were doing battles and stuff too. So we were kind of working together, and that was the first time I'd ever worked with other producers together to work on music together, and it was cool having help. And to this day, like me and Lost Perception, like I'll still send them stuff I work on that he'll flip, and vice versa. All right, so what I'm involved now is the Beatcast. It's a Twitch stream, online stream, and it started out, I was a participant on it in the first season when it was going to Sunday School Beats. It was Il Al, Bree, and DJ Organic, and I was a regular contributor. Like I said, you know, I like doing, you know, it's not a competition, it's a showcase. So it was cool. That was my first time getting back into beat making after a long hiatus too, you know, because I was doing the family thing and everything, and I took a break. So it was that COVID, let me start making music again. I'm sitting at home, let's do that. And so after that first season of the Beatcast, Al reached out to me to ask him for help on a few things in the background, and then it ended up turning into me being on the show and being another co-host on the Beatcast show. And now it's, you know, we have our team. And so the Beatcast is basically, it's an online showcase. We post a sample, and then all the producers, it's an international. We started out with mostly local people, but we're probably only about 25% of the people are local here in Arizona. And you know, we got people in Australia, people in Sweden submitting stuff. So it's everyone flips their beat, you know. Then we showcase it on the episode every 2 weeks. So they have 1 week to do it, and then they post it, and then we talk about it. And then we also go into lots of other topics. It's just an awesome community. This goes back to all of us building each other up, this community of us helping each other out. It's all these producers I met, and they've all met each other, and they linked up. And you get people messaging each other, asking for help, asking to listen for stuff. It is the most positive community I've ever been a part of. And I think especially for producers, it's great to have that, where you don't have someone who's holding their secrets back. Especially someone like me who comes from the old school, keeping it real, don't give away your secrets. It's, you know, it's like, yeah, no, it's like we're here to help each other out. And so we got a lot going on. You know, we've put out cassettes. We got a lot more in the works happening. We actually we're actually doing a competition called the Friendly Fade. That's going to be an online competition. So we're really, this season we're in now, the third season, we're really branching out. We have our Patreon where, you know, I put together sample packs, and people can get the sample packs for producing. And we're just trying to also be like a one-stop shop for people to find the tools and everything they need. We do workshops where we talk about different gear. We have people come in to talk about gear. So all the workshops are live streamed because, because everything's international. We talked about doing the whole live show thing, but like, me and Al are in agreement. It's like we did that. We're over it. It's like the thought of throwing a show, man. As you know, throwing a show is not easy. It's not fun, and for honestly little reward. I'd rather just show up with my equipment and play, but throwing a show is a whole different animal. So because it's weird too, because you have to change your focus and not think locally and to have to think globally when we come up with our ideas and everything we're doing. It's funny, this question here is the one because I watched the show. I knew this was coming, and I'm not good at answering this type of stuff. So, but I think so. It's just awesome because I'm lucky that I have a lot of love in my life, and even growing up, I had a lot of love in my life, and I didn't have anyone pushing me back. I have tons of supporters and tons of people that have my back, my family, my friends, the loved ones. It's just been a cool, amazing journey to even have that through all these years of doing music and having people have my back. And there are times where, especially now thinking about this question of, like how lucky I am to have that type of support, and how blessed I am and how thankful I am for all those people that were there to encourage me and to help me out, even, in the bad times where things weren't going, how they were supposed to still have those people giving you support and knowing that, they're there to love you. It's just really cool feeling, man. Like, all right, RTC Shogun, and thank you guys, Jimmy, Miranda, for having me on here, and that was my 5.
And there you have it, man. Shout out to my man Shogun. Shogun is by far one of the dopest to ever do it. Extremely talented. And man, it was just such an honor to have you on our platform, my brother. I wish you nothing but the best and nothing less. And Knock and Devious, if you guys are watching this, we got to get you on here too, man. I'm telling you, Mindspit Records is Arizona history, and it needs to all be told, man. You know what I mean? By all of you. So we're gonna make that happen. All right. But make sure you guys are following him on social media. And shout out to my brother Jimmy Nelson on the camera. Make sure you guys subscribe to that YouTube channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All right, got some nice chilly weather out here in Phoenix, Arizona, but we'll take it because we know what's coming. All right, man. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. Until next time, stay tuned, stay blessed, stay healthy, and just give me 5, y'all.
Everything you get, you got the